Oh man. All right, so I'm gonna quit that briefly. I'm gonna turn Nick down to a very low level. He's banging away. Welcome to FMTrain.tv. I'm Richard Carlton, where we create great FileMaker training. And today we're going to be talking about custom apps and the coding standards or naming conventions that you might want to use with these. Now, before we get going, we do have a little bit of upfront business I just want to cover. That this broadcast is sponsored by FMTrain.tv, where you can go and see the upcoming live training events. In fact, I'm going to move Nick out of the way down here. And so these are the upcoming events that we have for next week. You go to fmtraining.tv and you can choose to help support the channel by making sure that you have a current subscription to one of our training bundles. So this is the free live training that's coming up. Today is naming conventions. Nick is back on Monday and Tuesday next week. He's actually quite a bit the next week and a half, and then he's going to go off and work on a bunch of project work, so that's good. But we have him for the next week and a half, and then we'll pivot and be going through other stuff. Reminder that if you want to support the channel, you come to fmtrain.tv, you go to bundles right here, and I will put a link in here so you can purchase these. All right, so Nick, we're going to talk about naming conventions and coding standards. Now, before I get going too far in this, I want to point out a couple things. First off is that Nick has given you a document. As soon as Nick starts talking, I'm going to turn over here and I'm going to send you folks the download link for the document. Also, what I want to do is I want to point out basically 3 documents that are pretty interesting. Whoops. Move myself down there, move Nick back up there. First off is that I created a naming convention document. It's about a page and a half. It's pretty small. You're going to get this one here today. This talks about basic naming conventions. And we can kind of discuss some of this, but a lot of you want to know how we name things in the anchor buoy, whatnot. This kind of covers that at great length in a diagram right here. So it covers this in this diagram. So if I zoom in here a little bit, you can see this, right? So we took the time to kind of explain this out. The other document that Nick created is much more expansive. It covers actually some coding standards. And then the last thing I want to point out is a small extract from a FileMaker document that they don't publish anymore. And it was part of their naming conventions that they had, FileMaker Naming Conventions. And what FileMaker eventually established, this is back about 12, 15 years ago, is that they weren't in the business of establishing naming conventions. They had a bunch of, seniory people in the FileMaker community, kind of like myself or Todd or, Chris Hippolyte or whoever, name kind of your top kind of people in the community. Jesse Barnum and etc. And they got together and created this document. Well, in this document, they spent some time talking about anchor buoy. So anchor buoy is officially recognized. And then I actually talked about I don't know why it's a naming convention, but then it talks about pros and cons of anchor buoy, but that's actually in here. So I'm going to give you this document, this little extract as well. And then you have Nick's all-encompassing document, which he's going to talk about now. And Nick spent a lot of time working on this. This is free for all you. It says RCC confidential, which means that if you share it with anyone, then Nick will have to visit you and he'll have to adjudicate you appropriately. So, adjudicate. So that's for I think Greg. I think it's Greg and Reno. I just thinking of him as Reno, George and Reno. Sorry, I'm just going to call you Reno from now on. By your city. So Reno, you got that? Yeah, we're going to have Nick adjudicate someone. All right, so Nick, we're going to transfer command to your screen. Do you want to transfer command?
Yep.
Stand by, transferring command. I'm going to resize it appropriately and then go full screen. And then while I'm doing this, he's doing this, I'm going to put these links out to everyone, okay? So go, Nick.
Okay, so hello everyone. So naming convention and what we call coding standard in general is extremely important, and you can't even imagine how that can make your solution much simpler, and we save you time, prevent bugs. So it's very important that you take time to name and to organize your work behind the scene. It's a little bit, when you work at home and you want to do something and you have a nice toolbox, then after 2 hours, what you do, you have all the tools outside of the toolbox, and then you're fetching for things. You don't, oh, where's my screwdriver? Oh, where is my wrench? Or where is my plier or stuff like that, right? So because you don't find anything because you move all of things around. So it's exactly the same thing uh, under the hood with FileMaker, you need to take the time to organize your tools, and the coding standard here is very important. So I so the what we talk about coding standards. So here I am laid down in this document like that you're going to have the custom app coding standard. Here I'm laying down pretty much everything you need to know about what we're talking about. Terminologies, the naming patterns, the tables, the fields, occurrences, and then I'm showing you an example of how to organize anchor buoy. So a little bit, Richard, do you want me to cover a little bit what single buoy versus?
Yeah, you go ahead and do that if you want. I mean, some
Yeah.
people haven't seen it. What I do want to point out, though, hang on, stand by. Hang on, I'm gonna make you slightly less than full screen. I'm gonna bring up our FileMaker Training over here for those of you. We really appreciate everyone who supports this channel with your awesome purchase of our annual subscription, which is really a great deal. Wink, 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 right? If you come over here, you put in your license key already. If you just download the file, you'll see these live streams are free. All the recorded live streams are in here. People want to know about that. In fact, I'm going to go and press the update button here real quick. I know they're working on your live streams, Nick, that you and I put together this week, and they'll probably start showing up this weekend or Monday on the edited side. But if I go back over here to live streams, I can see, yeah. So a second ago they didn't have 6.1, but 6.1 and 6.2 are now up here. If I go over here, I go to the FileMaker 2020 Pro Platform course. If I go Anchor, ANCHOR, and I hit return, did I not spell it right, or did it not do a correct search? And is that how you spell Anchor, Nick? And what is it? ANCHOR? ANCHOR. Okay, that search did not work. I'll have to figure out why that didn't work. Anchor. Okay, I will chase that down and figure that out. But if you go down here to relationships, it's only searching within that. Okay, one of you was complaining about this the other day. It needs to search under a broader topic. It's only searching under this. We will fix that in an update. But it's if you go to the relationship section, there's quite a few videos in the relationships. You go to video, just write these numbers down. You go to 1130 and 1131 are the two under the hood, like really, like I go through the anchor buoy very slowly, very specifically. So Nick's going to hit this, but these are the videos you need to watch for homework assignments. Okay? Cool. All right, Nick, sorry, back to you.
No, bro. Yeah. So in page 16 of the document here, I'm laying down the relationship mapping. So we all know this one. I'm pretty sure everybody has that under the hood, something looking like that, with everything going all over the place like that, and from one to another, and to another, to another, and to another. So you have a chain like that, and then so this is bad. Okay, this is bad. It's not before FileMaker 13. It wasn't bad. Actually, before FileMaker 13, that one was bad, and that one was recommended. Now, since FileMaker 13, that means 10 years later, it's the opposite. Okay, so so the anchor buoy relationship and spider web. This is spider web, and this is anchor buoy, because you have an anchor here, right? You see, that's why we call that anchor buoy. You have an anchor, which is the main. It's the main kind of starting point where you are. Your layout is there. The layout you're in, the context you're in is here, like account, for example. And then you have buoys, like we call buoys like that, and you have this one and then this one. So this is how you design things. But I'm going to explain that more. The coding standard, it's extremely important to use the name, the how you name things, how you organize things, to help you save time, to help you find things, and help you debug things. Okay, so I'm not going to explain everything in this what I'm doing here, but I'm in this document you have also how to organize your calculations. Here I have a good example how to make your calculation looking better, and then you can understand what's going on. See, for example, this and this are the same calculation, but here you don't understand anything. Here you know what's going on. If this, then you have a case, and then you close it, right? And then you don't have the conflict, because we all had this in one time in our life, conflict with parentheses. Oh, you have more opening parentheses than closing parentheses. We all had this warning once in the calculation. So and this technique here prevent that to happen. Also, I'm describing in this document how to name scripts and how to organize scripts and stuff like that. So let's see let's see how it works in reality. So here the naming, use the name of your table occurrence, for example, in the relationship map. Okay, that we call that the table occurrence here, right? So you need to use the name to tell you a story. It must tell you a story. So we all have the tendency of naming things like this. We all that okay. This goes to preference and gather the ID of the thing. So if you name your if you name your thing like that, it doesn't tell you right. It doesn't tell you much. Okay, it tells you that this link is used to do something punctual, to do something extremely narrow, But sometimes you have a link, an occurrence, that can be used and reused and reused again, because it does the job you need to. It does the job for multiple purposes, not only for that one. Okay, so that is important, that the name must reflect. It must reflect what the relationship is composed of, instead of what the relationship is doing. Okay, so here we have a great example here. So you can see here, you start with the anchor. Let's say I am in the user table. Oh yeah, I'm in the user table. This is a user table. So here you see in my layout here, I am in the T12 user. This is what my layout is anchored to. That's why we call anchor buoy. The anchor is here, T12. Okay. So now I'm going to T12, right? And I'm seeing that I have all those relationships here. I have T12 user, and then I have T12A, T12B, T12E, KL. Okay. Sometimes you can see, normally you have A, B, C, D, but sometimes you remove a relationship and you keep, and then I know that I have a space here. If I need to put a new relationship, I can do that, and then I can call it C. Okay. Then I have the alphabetical order still. So A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, you have the letters. Okay, and then here you have the second level of relationship. So you start with a T12. Here I need, I'm going to the preference, right? And then here from the preference I go to the navigation. So here this one come to use from user. See, users. It goes to preference, okay, and then it goes to navigation. So now I know what's going on here. This link here is coming from users, is going to preference because it's a capital letter. So I come from this, I go there, and the field I'm using for that is ID user. So when you go inside the relationship here, you see that I'm using IDF user. So I'm using that key to make the connection between user and preference. And then I'm explaining here that this relationship, this occurrence here, is creating and deleting. If I double click here, it says allow creation and deletes. So I know, so this is very important. This is crucial. The fact that in the name you put what the occurrence is doing.
Okay.
Because
I want to interrupt real quick. So on now, it's really important that I need to frame something real quick. We haven't framed this part of the conversation, Nick. It's really important to understand that we're not saying this is the way you have to do this. What the suggestion is that you pick a method and you find something you're comfortable with, and then you stick with it because it'll make your life better. In Nick's case, he is putting this little piece on here like that. In my document, I don't have that. So if you look at my document versus Nick's, they're very similar, but they're slightly different. I actually like this. I think this is a great upgrade to have. It's not in my short little document where I kind of diagrammed it out. Yeah. So it's pretty much consistent, except that I didn't put this piece on. So am I right, or is Nick wrong, or is Nick right and I'm wrong? No, it's just you need to find something that you like and try to be consistent with it. That way it will help you and everyone else who you work with, right, Nick?
You pinpoint the right word, consistency. This is important. So, and okay, why I came with this, it's the result of many years of experience and the result of building solution not only for one people but for multiple people, multiple purposes and stuff like that. So here, for example, I'm saying in this that the link is Cartesian.
Okay, we have a question. Someone's Ron is asking a question: 2 bars versus 3 bars. So you got 3 bars here sometimes, but then you have 2 bars.
Oh, this is okay. This is a bug.
It's a bug. You screwed up, or
I screwed up.
Okay, it's not a bug. You just are bad. You're a bad person.
Yeah,
You're a very bad person. Okay.
Yeah, I need to be chastised. Yeah.
Okay, we chastise you, and we'll adjudicate you shortly thereafter. So.
Yeah, no, sorry for that. It's a free bar. It's because I'm wearing glasses and sometimes I don't see much the thing. Okay, so
hey, Nick, just so you know, I'm zooming in a lot over here, so people see zooming happening, like it's really zoomed in.
So you see every pimple on my face. You see
every pimple on your face has been washed. So if you like jump around really fast, I have to zoom out. So
okay.
It's like I'm I'm the guy just trying to aim the camera at you while you're dancing on screen. So yeah.
It's very important. Okay, so it's very important. Like, for example, this one is interesting. It is crucial that this relationship is sorted. This relationship must be sorted. So I need to put a sort order in the relationship to make the thing working. That's why it's important to have this. And here, for example, sometimes I'm giving myself information that this is self-joined. So I'm going to user, from user to user. It's self-joined. Okay, so here I'm saying that it creates, Cartesian creates, sort, so I'm putting some information here. So now I want to show you why this saves you time. You see here, you have a graphic representation of your relationship. So at a glance, you know what's going on from this one to this one to this one. You know what's going on because visually you can see it. But what happened if you do this? If you go there and you need to figure out what's going on, so you have this beautiful graphic, and drawing, the relationship map, and nasty, yeah. Okay, so that's why the naming convention we came from is it will help you a lot. Let's say with FileMaker 13 we have this new type new calc dialog where you can type that way. You say, okay, I want the T12 because we know T12 is user. Everything that has T12 in the name is related, is coming from users. All of it. All of this is coming from user. So now you can see here you have M1, right? And then you have U1, U2. So U1, U2. So this gives you a representation of this. You know that this is T12U, and you know that the T12U1 and T12U2 is behind. I mean, it's in front of T12U.
Okay.
So now you have a visual representation where you can say this. You have T12U, U1, U2.
Okay. So let me help here real quick, and I just want to frame this because there's a couple questions here. So I'm gonna kind of split the back here just a little bit with myself. Okay, there we go, and I'll put that up. All right. So real quick, important to understand about this. One is that the names we are providing have no calculation benefit, at least in our minds, as to like technically it has to be this way. There was a question by Elo Jot and he's on Twitch, and he's saying, well, are there certain characters we can use and certain characters you can't use? Yes. Underscores you can use, vertical pipes you can use. Pretty much everything else is highly subject. If you use something else, you might get an error message that you will cause a problem in FileMaker. So you have to limit your characters to underscores and vertical pipes. And so once again, the whole idea. So here's the logic. I'm going to walk everyone through. That's a pretty good list of all the little items that can cause problems here.
Yeah.
Hold on, Nick.
All of them are prohibited. You can use
well, and also anything in parentheses or the little parenthesis like that or the square. All those are illegal as hell. You cannot use those.
Okay, so that's a good thing. Those are prohibited, and those are prohibited, and those are prohibited.
Oh, on the side over there, yeah.
Hang on. And or XOR. And
hold on. Let me get over there. I'm zooming in so people can see this, right? So that's all these, reserved. So basically everything minus. Oh, it's easier instead of trying to remember what is not covered. You can't even use those words and or not or any of that stuff. You can't even use that. So
no. See, if you do this, you say okay, and.
Yeah, that's the
actually, it tells you what you okay here. Okay, this you cannot use.
Yeah, so basically, instead of thinking about that, no spaces, just use underscores for a space and a vertical pipe if you want a separator or a couple pipes. Now, Nick, can you back out to our layout real quick? So the reason we do this, and I'm really working the zooming here, controls hard. I feel like I'm at a sports game zooming in at the quarterback at the football game. So what's really important here is here's why we do this. If you build a solution, this is for Bunny and everyone else in here. So once again, if you're a developer and you're all the way over here in this group of people, right? If I click on this and let me see, zoom. I can't zoom in to zoom out. Zoom to actual size. We have these actual senior developers. And everyone, what we're doing here applies to absolutely everyone. It applies to everyone. And here's what happens. If you build a FileMaker solution, then you walk away for 6 months, you will not remember what the hell you did before. You just won't remember. It will be gone. You'll have some vague thoughts about it. If you build something from 3 or 4 or 5 years ago and you go back, you're definitely not going to even remember anything. And so what happens, so this is the logical process. You go to Nick's layout. I'm back on your screen, Nick. You come to this layout and you're like, man, I need to add some stuff or fix a bug here. I don't have a clue what the hell is going on. And there's that big relational mess. If you come here and you say, every data entry screen that we interact with is attached to an anchor. You identify that right there. Then you're going to go to field definitions, like Nick is about to do right now for me. And he's going to go to the relational diagram. He's going to scroll to that T12. And then everything we need to know, back up a little bit, Nick, a little more. Everything we need to know is here. We don't have to worry about anything else on the graph. So if you have a graph where everything is cross-connected, you are screwed. Okay, I'm not allowed to say that. You are having a bad day. It's nasty. It's nasty.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, you see, let's say, that's a great example. You see here, let's say I want to go from user to assets. So, typically what we do, we say, okay, I want that and that together. So now, what happens? Look what happens. I have T12 and T18 together. So when you do this, see what happened. Look, the related table. You have all of them.
And normally it would have stopped. It would have stopped right here.
Yeah.
But no, you cross-connected everything. So now you've got the super bonus list.
Yes. So when you do, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, you just made your life twice as hard as it needed to be, right? And so it's just double the suffering, 2x the suffering, double.
Yeah. So you say, okay, yeah, but I want to go to asset from okay, no problem. I have I go to asset too. I want to go to asset. Okay, I create a new occurrence. I say, okay, I want to go to assets, and I want to go T12 S or whatever, and I'm going from users to assets, and I want blah. Okay, so I have my stuff. I put here, and I do whatever I want, and I connect, and I have now my 12 to asset, but I don't embrace everything behind asset. I don't
Correct,
care about that,
correct,
right?
correct. All right,
Yeah.
now, Nick, I need to take a step back for a couple people. We have some newer people here who don't understand the table occurrence part of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the FileMaker. Since all of you love supporting our channel here and having the subscription to the training, you go here to your FileMaker player. You're going to come over here to the course. You're going to select the FileMaker 19 subscription right here. You're going to come down to the section on relationships. If you don't know what TO is, I need you to come to this section in your videos, because I know you have these videos, because, you know, coming to an hour of free training a day is useful, but it's not enough. You have to really, I mean, there's 70 hours or 80 hours of training that we have just for this 19 release. So you're going to come here to what is a relationship, and you're going to try to understand that if I'm going to mute this, hopefully. In this video, you hear me talking. In this video, blah, 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 blah. And what you're going to find out is that we have the little, somewhere in here, we're talking, you can see all the artwork here. We're talking about anchor buoy and methodology and all this sort of stuff. And what is a relationship? Understanding what a relationship is, very important. And then we talk about that relationship. You know, relationship is between two tables, but really you don't directly connect tables. You're connecting a table occurrence. It's occurrence of the table, right? So we're talking about that. We're animating it. This is why you get the training. Could explain this. This is so important. So this is the Lego guy, the representation of the Lego guy. We can't use Lego. So this is really great, Nick. So, but the idea here is that this is the part about table occurrences and the part you need to understand. And you can watch this video. Whenever you are in your relational diagram, you're on a layout. You have things that you can see. You can only see what you're connected to. That's a fundamental here. So I'm taking a step back from Elzo and the Evil 4, TK55678. All you senior people out there, just give me a second. I'm trying to help some people here. This is new. So when you're building a relational diagram, each one of these boxes is a table occurrence. Our conversation is about when to connect them together and when not to connect them together. And understand that if we're on the anchor, we're on this layout. If we were on that layout that Nick was on, that's us. We're the little Lego person. We're standing on this graph. We can only see, you know, through data, the things that we're connected to. So if I was here and I want to bring data from over here, it's not connected here. Right? Very important concept. So you can only see or show or access or calculate or mess with data that you're touching. So each of these are table occurrences. A group of these together is called a TOG, T-O-G, table occurrence group. This is super important. This conversation right now will melt your head. I really need you to go back to the training and start the beginning of the relationship training at section 1100 and watch those videos. That's your homework assignment. Yeah. If you want to stay up to date. So sorry, Nick, I just wanted to, it's the same thing. But we have people here who are just like, whoa.
You know, you have the image and the sound, so it's better.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, no, you can't see it all the way. You saw my screenshot. You look at my screenshot?
Yeah. I saw it.
Yeah, the Lego. So, we need Lego guy.
It's very good. But I want to point out something here. Before FileMaker 13, that means from FileMaker 2 to FileMaker 13, people were, and I did that too, we were naming things like that. GT underscore TTR TTE underscore EIDU. Okay, we were, you know, how many of you has something like that, you know? And we felt, okay, GT, now you have a TR5, you know? Something like, how many of you has something like that? Many. Why? It's because before, we had to type in the calculation GTRR. We had to type it. So people say, well, you know, when I first show that to some of my customers, they say, "Oh my gosh, what this? How I can remember such a name? It's so complicated, so big." I said, you don't have to remember because you don't type it. You know, you go here, you want T12M bomb. That's it, you know. And, you know, earlier you said, when I was here, you told me, oh, Nick, can you scroll down to T12? No, you don't need to scroll down. You tap T12, poof. You want T18, boom. T01, because you can type over So let's say you have a gigantic, like sometime, you have a gigantic a map like that, right? I have solution where this is 5 or 6 times this one, right?
Excuse me.
And you want to navigate from one anchor to another. You use this technique. 3 character in the relationship map. You can type 3 character. So T12,
I didn't know that.
T01,
I didn't know.
T01. Okay.
I did not know that. You can type in here, really?
T18, yeah, but that was the T18. Yeah, you type over, and then it goes. You navigate. Let's say you want T20, T20. Sorry, T20. Oh, sorry.
You don't have a T20.
Yeah, I have it. T20. Here.
Okay.
Oh,
wow. That's cool, Nick.
Yeah, so that's why I'm using this a lot. So this is really important. The bottom line here is this: when you type something, you have T20, T20 here, T18. You type, and then you have, all of this is what matters to you. Okay, and now the name is telling you, oh yeah, that's the Cartesian link I want, or oh yeah, no, this is the link I need with the IDF asset. Yes, because sometimes you have the same link, but with the name, with the ID, with something else, right? So here you say, oh yeah, this is what I need, because you know what the thing is doing. You know what it's doing. It's coming from asset, it's going to asset property with IDF asset, and it's sorted. I know that. I don't need to go in the relationship map to double check if that's the case.
Right. All right. So there's a question a little bit going on Twitch right now, and then what it is the idea of so for I'm in the United States. My entire traveling abroad is Mexico and Canada and things like that. But there are people here asking about like localized versions of FileMaker. Latal Marut, I don't know how to even say that word. He's asking, of course, what's your opinion, Nick, on characters with an accent, like a little E with a thing above it, or the other E with a thing, or the A with above it?
Welcome to the club. I am French.
Yeah, he mentioned that. He says,
yeah,
I've noticed that French developers avoid the use of the accent, and some of them don't even use space or underscores. Thanks for the answer.
Yeah. Okay. So it's okay. Typically, and that is valid for Java, is valid for Xcode, is valid for everything. Typically, in the developer community, when you reach a certain level, you code everything in English.
Okay.
For compatibility reason. Okay. Java anyway don't allow you to do what you want, right? So you even have characters that are prohibited, like accents and stuff like that. Even though FileMaker doesn't prevent you to do characters like that, right? And this and and this and you can do, right? But it's extremely when you have this in the name, when you want to retrieve something, type over, when you want to use the type over thingy, and you type a E, and instead now you want the E accent. Okay, so it's not the same. When you see E, you have something, but when you say E accent, there's nothing, because there's nothing with this. So yeah, I suggest you keep in English and name the thing in English, or don't, like like in French, for example, if you want to say something, instead of typing this, in French, okay, you remove the E like that and you put the A like that. Okay. So you don't use accent and stuff like that.
Right, exactly. So Elzo from Brazil just said, although my apps are all in Portuguese, I develop everything in English, and only the field names and the layout have accents. My personal experience at FileMaker does not deal well with accents. That's what Elzo says.
Yeah, so it depends where you use them. The accent, that you can break something because you use an accent. That's true, but I think FileMaker fixed many of those problems. So I don't think this statement with accent breaking thing can be valid anymore. But it was in the past. But anyway, the problem of FileMaker, because we don't know that. Most of the people in America doesn't know that, but FileMaker did a big mistake 20 years ago. a huge mistake. They translated all of those things in languages. So you type ours here in English, right? But it's not ours in French, it's heure. Okay? So they translated all their what's the name? They
all the functions. Yeah.
All the functions in all the 20 languages, in all the 10 languages of FileMaker support. So that makes everything much complicated for when you have a international solution. So that's why since I mean 15 years, 15 years, I'm using FileMaker in English. I never use FileMaker in French pretty much because of this. Because I want to code. I want the function in English because it's much. You know, when you say get, for example, you know, you say get. No, in French you have to say obtenir. You know, is that stupid, right? So you need to type this in order to get the get, right? So it's much. If I have an advice as an international guy, I'm speaking 5 languages and stuff like that. Develop in English with a FileMaker English, and you name your field like Enzo said. You type this in the language you need.
Yeah. So what's his name? You know, remember there's about a 90-second delay here between us, and we see your messages in real time, but then we respond about a minute or a minute and a half later, maybe 2 minutes later. You'll see our verbal and audio visual response right here. So the same guy was asking, the problem using accents is not only for FileMaker or WebDirect. The problem with accents is everywhere in FileMaker, right? I mean, it says you want to put it on the layout per se, layout here, but then internally in the guts, I would stay away from it. So, yeah. So that once again, we're talking about layout mode for the labels. Obviously, if you want to put the data in the field, you can put whatever data. Once again, we're talking about under the hood in development as opposed to browse mode. Yeah, like naming the fields right here, right?
I never had really a big problem with this, but I understand where it can be problematic, especially when you have a connection with ODBCs and stuff like that. You know, that can be really bad. Or if you have a JavaScript that points to a FileMaker FileMaker field, PHP, for example, yeah, you can definitely break everything because you have an accent. So you know, so are we? Do we have any other question about the?
No. Why don't you go through some layouts and scripts and things like that if you want?
Yeah. Script. Okay. Script is the best. Okay. Look, as you said, Rick, everybody can do whatever they want. You know, so it's not because you speak a language that everybody is going to speak the same way, right? Okay. So let's say we teach people the language, but then they can speak the way they want. Okay. So, but you have to admit that sometimes it's great to listen to somebody that spent his life from morning to night and weekend and vacations since 35 years building FileMaker solution. So the name of the scripts is like, what I'm going to show you, you will understand what's going on. Okay, let's say, you see how the script are organized here. You have a, by the way, you can add emojis in the names. That great. The emoji is great. I'm going to show you why. See why here? Let's say I want to assign a button here, right? And here, what happened here when you have this? You see not this, but here scripts.
Oops, sorry. I'm doing more than one thing at a time here. I apologize.
Yeah. So anyway, so oh yeah, no, it's here in the script. Sorry. When you say you want to perform a script, here perform script, and you have the list like that, right? So the emojis can help you see where you are. You know, you can see asset and user and you know. So it's much better to.
I'm gonna go back and interject some. So right here, Nick, I just don't move for a second. Okay. So what I want to point out is that what we try to do is we try to number all the scripts and number the layouts. The reason we do this is because that way, if you go to a person's solution, I have been to seen solutions where they said, hey, I'm hiring you as a consultant. Please fix our print label script. Okay, so I go in there and we say print label. Then I see print label, and then down here I see there's like 4 scripts called print label, and so that's why we number stuff. So then what we just say is it's print label, but it's say 0008 or whatever it is. Now, important note right here. When Nick is doing this, he started off with a 0004, and that's all there was. And then what happens is that we realize that crap, we need some like extra version, and it really should stack here. So we put A, B, and C on this. Normally, what happens is that this is just a placeholder to keep it separate. It's a little trashy looking. It's like having trash, cooking in the kitchen, but you don't take the trash out till you're done cooking the food. And once we're done, we would resequence these or get a junior engineer who's looking for a job and say, hey, go resequence these. Have a Diet Coke, relax, put on some music. And so this becomes, this goes back to 04, then this is 5, then this 6, and 7, 8, and then everything gets kind of kicked down. Between the sections, you want to leave gaps so you can add more scripts in there. Does that make sense? So so people are like, what the hell is A, B, and C? I'm just saying it's a placeholder for now.
But can be also can be useful because you say, okay, here are all my 004s.
Ooh.
So now I have multiple variants of the same. They all do select item, but one is doing there's no audit, and the other one I can add a double click. So I have 3 versions of the same scripts, right? So keeping the ABC, then you know I know 004. I know I want this one. But sometimes I say, oh yeah, I want this one. Okay, so sometimes I'm doing that. I'm keeping the A's and the B's and the C's like that. I'm pretty sure I can see. I have multiple versions. Validate new asset, validate new value, validate new value. Let's see.
Okay, so yep, you're here. So then, Sir Deals a Lot 2020. Who's obviously a guy who spends a lot of time on eBay or on Craigslist or something. He wants to know, how do you put emojis in and what images do you use? Right, I guess is his question. How do you, because really you have to have some way of generating the emoji, right, Nick?
Yeah, so here, and you go to your...
hang on, I'm zooming out. Go ahead. Yep. Okay, so hey, stop. So they're on the Mac. Don't select it for a second. How do you even get this? Is that the keyboard? What is that?
Yeah, this is the key. Yeah, on the Mac. Okay, I'm on the Mac, but on the keyboard preference here, on the preference, you can say show keyboard and emoji viewer.
Got it. So turn that on. Shoot, I don't even have that on. I need to turn that on for myself.
Yeah, and then and then here you have all the character you need. Latin character.
Okay. So I need to ask the Windows people that are here. What
they have the same thing.
How do you do it on the same thing? If you want to put a little bit of text in here on the comments, and we will share it between YouTube and Twitch. Yeah. But I'm not a big giant Windows fan. I mean, it's functional. It works good enough. But how do you do this there? Let us know.
So if you love me, you can add the love me. If you not, if you head explode, you can add the explosion of the.
That's about half the people here, I'm sure.
Yeah, so, and if you're boring, you can yawn like that if you want.
Okay, so so this is the guy who was asking about the French and the characters. He says, okay, thanks everyone. I switched from French to English 3 weeks ago. The FileMaker certification is only in English and Japanese, so I'll develop in English only for now. So
yeah. And you have something to know about the for the French version and the international version. What you need to know is that the international version of FileMaker are more buggy than the US one. They tend to have more bugs, and because they first fixed the US version, the English version, which is the broader audience for FileMaker, and then they fix the localization version, the localized version later. So that's why I'm using FileMaker, the US version of FileMaker anyway. So this is how you add emojis into the but you can add emojis everywhere, right? You can even add emojis in calculation, and so emoji is cool. But something I want to show you here, the way, and I'm laying down everything in the documents here, right? In the document, I'm laying down everything on the scripting convention. So let's say you can see here I have different we have different kind of of scripts. But most of the time, here how I'm naming my script. Here I'm showing all the script. Okay, I'm saying add, validate, cancel, add, validate, cancel, add, new, cancel, import, show, export, add, go, right? I start always with what is doing, is adding, is validating, is canceling, and then I say, okay, add new asset, validate new asset. But I'm starting. So if I want a script that says validate, all my validation scripts. If I want all my script that says cancel, all my cancel script. Now I'm going further. I'm telling the thing for triggers, for example. Here I'm saying, okay, first of all, I'm saying dotted trigger. So, okay, I want all my triggers. Okay, now I want, okay, no. I want on layout enter.
No? Yeah, that's a good idea. I haven't done that consistently myself, but putting the fact it's a trigger and what trigger it's firing or what trigger activates it is really a good idea.
It's a good, exact. And not only this, but picture this. Here, for example, I'm putting that on layout mode enter, on layout and mode enter. I'm putting this in both. So the name reminds me, don't forget, Nick, to put that on mode enter as well, right? So it helps me not making a mistake. That means in the layout, I need to go there and put the same script on layout enter and mode enter. So the name of the script tells me, Nick, don't forget mode enter. Okay, so pretty much what I'm doing most of the time. You say, okay, oh yeah, I don't want to name that. No. Most of the time, I'm reusing the same trigger all over the place, on layout keystroke, on layout keystroke, I have all of them, or on object save, right? So what I'm doing here, I'm duplicating this and I repurpose it. So, and I put somewhere else. I put here, for example, see? And then I say, okay, now this is not doing this, is doing that. But I keep the trigger on object save, I don't have to type this. I'm duplicating. So when you have a naming, an organization on coding and organizing the thing behind the scene with consistency, the word you use, Rick, that helps you a lot in saving times and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, well, and that's why I like, frankly, watching someone else talk about this. He's taken this to a new level. And here's the thing with understanding when you're watching training with us. I mean, you don't have to take everything away and adopt it, but find one or two nuggets that really work for you and steal them and use them, please. I mean, it'll make your life better. It'll make your development better. Yeah. You won't struggle so much. Elzo's asking, Nick, do you use the title names for script sections or separate them with a line? How to follow a certain sequence question. How do you use the title names for scripts sections? Title names.
Oh, here?
Like folders, I guess. Yeah, that's a folder, right? Yeah.
Folder. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's these items right here, right? So you have a folder, and then you have the separator. Yeah.
Yeah, folder, because I want this to be like that. So first of all, you can collapse everything, and you can.
Whoa! How'd you collapse everything?
On Mac, Option, Command, and Cluck.
I learned two things today.
It's command only, not option. Command. So it should be Alt on PC.
Okay, hang on a second here. So we have to try this out, right? So, I mean, if I get to learn something new, that's kind of cool, right? So let me see. I need a sample file. How about this? Is there any scripts in here? So if you do a search in a script, doesn't that normally everything up, right?
Normally, yeah.
Okay, so now they're all open over here. I'm going to try this. I'm going to hold the command key down. 1, 2, 3, click. I feel really stupid because I'm a trainer and I didn't know that. Okay. I feel really dumb.
No, you don't.
No one pretend they saw me learn something new. I knew it all the time. How many times do you see people say that? Oh, I knew it all the time.
So how I'm naming things is very easy. This is for users, and all my script for user are there. I will never have a script used in user here. I'm duplicating it. If that's the same script, is that the same damn script? I duplicate it. Because And then okay, so something very, very, very important you must know. When I was 22, 23, I wanted to become a psychologist. Okay. And then they told me, you're too crazy to become a psychologist. So no, it's not the case. But I made 2 years of school at psychology, and we learned something. I learned something doing, and I'm using a lot of things that I learned back in the day in my development. The human brain will recall numbers much more easily than text, because we don't use the same side of the brain when you use text and when you use number. Text, you use the what's the name, the low memory kind of feeling kind of side of your brain, and number, you use the logical fast memory kind of side of your brain. You have a slow memory of your brain and fast memory. So your brain will first pick up the information from your fast memory and then goes down the low memory. Okay, so numbers, you will remember the numbers always. You will remember the number much easily.
Okay.
And sometimes you say, oh, I remember that my script start with 135. Okay, all the 135. Okay, see, I remember it start with 135. Oh, that's the one. This one. Okay, so it's the number is very important to for that. Very,
Okay.
very important.
Okay, so we have a question here from Scott. Well, Scott's in here, so say hi to Scott. And just as a reminder, everyone, that Scott is one of Scott is one of Nick's customers. But if you would like to hire Nick to help you on a project, definitely send us an email to support RC Consulting. He can help you on a project. It's 150.
And Scott, I'm back on your project after that. Promise. Scott is the most patient customer I ever had.
Yeah, well, yeah, you definitely owe him. That's for sure. Hey, so Topcat 19 says slight subject change, but kind of not really. If I install FileMaker, it will install in my native language. How do I change the FM language into English?
Easy. So it's very simple. What you do, you Command I here, and you should have the. You should have.
I think it's just one version anymore, Nick. Isn't it just one version now? I mean, it used to be. Well, that's 19. You're on 1901. What are you looking for?
Because before, hold on. Before we had the possibility to change the language from here.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
So they removed that possibility. So maybe from the inside. Hold on.
Well, if you change the operating system to, we did this. You weren't around one day.
I know on PC they have to go preference and change in the preference. The PC, you go in the preference of FileMaker and you change it from here. Somewhere you have a language. If somebody on PC can confirm that, but on PC you can go and change the language from here. On Mac, I have no idea now how you do that.
Well, it takes it from the operating system. You have to go to the operating system.
Yeah.
Go and do that. Go and quit FileMaker.
Yeah.
Most people have not. I haven't done this in a month. But I don't speak French. It about totally screwed me. Change your language. Yeah. Change your language. In fact, you might have to restart your computer.
No, I don't. No.
You sure?
Okay. Yeah. You just say.
Go ahead and restart. Yeah, it won't work unless you restart. You can restart.
No, FileMaker will, because if I relaunch the Finder.
Oh, you're going to relaunch the Finder? Okay. Well, that's not normally. All right, if you get disconnected, we'll call you back, okay?
No, you don't. So now it's in French. My Finder is in French.
Oh, yeah, your Finder's in French, okay.
Okay, so you don't need to restart the computer. But here, normally, so now FileMaker is in French too. So it's a good opportunity for me to show you the mess about that international people are facing, because that's strange to see that in French. So when you go under the hood, okay, everything is in French. And when you go here and you say get, you add nothing, right? That my custom function. You say obtenir. So you need to take this, and then you have this, and everything is translated.
Wow.
Right? All this is translated. So no, those are international. But année, date, jour, année, all that is translated. So it's a mess when you have to use case, choose, define. This is let. This is let. Define, definir. This is let, and everything is okay. It's a mess. So yeah.
All
But
right.
before you could go there, Command I, and select the language you wanted. So it before we could do that. I don't know why they,
Yeah, maybe it's gone, but that's fine. So it's in. So basically, then they have the same build, but it just changes out all the words. Now, notice it didn't change your solution. That's all still English, right? But
Yeah.
all these other items in here, right?
Yeah, but and here the problem. Let's say I'm building in French. Let's say I'm building in English, and let's say I'm building in French, and an English guy wants to open my stuff in French. So now, if you go, for example, here, all my calculations are all in French. Arrondi. You don't know what arrondi means?
Yeah,
C,
no clue.
you don't know what C means, right?
Let.
So
That's let.
Yeah. No, C is if. This is if.
Oh, if. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's a bit right. Let is this. Let is this is definir. Right. This is let. It's a mess. It's a mess. That's why I because I was working from France, but for different companies and stuff. So I was always in English, and especially when you have a multi-language solution. Like I was working for a Russian company. I was colluding with Russians. And I was working for a Russian company, and they had this the Cyrillic, this alphabet that is different, or even a Greek company, So
Yep.
sometimes I'm doing Greek stuff here, I have I even have the keyboard in Greek. So when you have a different alphabet and stuff like that, and you want to develop in French.
All right. So someone said in Windows, Michael Gravel on YouTube says preference user interface language. I think that's the Windows side, right? Yeah. So that's looks like that's confirmed there. The Windows side's pretty quiet. So what happened? Just so you know, Nick, about 6 or 8 weeks ago. Remember, you do some of these, but then Calvin does some of this. And Calvin, we actually had him switch to Spanish. Except Calvin goes, "Oh, Calvin, do you know Spanish?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, I kind of know it." So he restarts his computer. He couldn't do anything, right? Nathan Schneider says Calvin's Spanish is limited to ordering from Taco Bell is all he can do. So
burrito,
right? So that's the. So I mean, it's kind of cool having people do understand the multilingual kind of stuff. It's great. So anyway, cool. Well, do we have questions? Because we're kind of wrapping up. So I've given everyone has these documents, has my short document, Nick's big document. Scott, your customer says, can Nick show his method of IDs and how he gets them to show first on the managed database fields?
Yeah. This is great catch, Scott. So I have a way, and that FMSP as well. I want my keys to always be on top of the screen, always. On top of the list, whatever I do.
Okay, so that's slightly different than me. It doesn't mean one way is right or wrong. I do ID underscore, so they're all sorted by I at the bottom. But yeah. You could do it this way. Other people do things so they sort at the bottom all the time, right? So.
Yeah, but I want on top because most of the time, because everything. Okay, can I switch off back to English because as French,
Well, listen. Either you're French or you're not. Are you real or are you?
I can keep it, but you guys will understand squat. I mean.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, switch it back.
Okay. English.
That was funny.
Okay, so So the ID stuff. Okay, so when you go to assets here, you have IDs. This is the main. This is the ID of the asset. So this is the master key, the parent key of assets.
Primary
and
key.
Those, primary key. And those are foreign keys, okay? So I'm not going to explain what's foreign keys and primary keys here. But all that are the keys I use. So why I want the keys to be on top? So first of all, I'm naming that to I'm putting two underscores. Then this one is always on top. Whatever I do is always on top. Okay,
that makes sense.
Always. And then I'm putting one underscore because this one, they will always be on top, but underneath the double underscore. So this block will always be on top of the screen. So why I'm doing this? Because all what we do, especially when you work with anchor buoy, you work with IDs. You know, IDs. It's always ID. You work with IDs most of the time, right? So let's say you want to say, okay, I want. Let's say you have a auto entry calculation, and you want and you want T18, and you want this. You want the primary key, right? It's there, so you don't have to do anything. You know, to say T12 user primary key, right? Or T01. Oh no, this is a bad example. T something login ID, right? So it's very cool to have the IDs on top all the time and not on the bottom and not seeking for them, right? And especially when you are here, it's cool to have always the ID on top. So because when you let's take an example, clean example, okay? Let's say you start with assets and you want to go to users, okay? So you have those two occurrence, and you can see all the IDs always on top. So okay, I want the assets. I want the ID user to go there. That's it. See, it's always on top instead of dragging this, because this is not, to be honest with you, this is not practical at all. You have to scroll like that, or sometimes people, what they do, they just drag whatever relationship and then they go back inside and then they fix it, right? So instead, I think this technique of having the ID always on top is great. It saves time, right?
Absolutely. Cool. Well, it's going pretty good. For those of you who have not purchased our training, I want to point out that you can get the training at a discount once again. Just a reminder, if you're looking for the video only, I'm going to go ahead and put this link on here right now. Once again, there's a little bit of delay on here. So this is the video only training bundle, right? Is this link right here? And then we have, if you want the complete training that we've been talking about, it's going to be complete. I'm putting this in the text messaging over here.
Something that came to me, Rick, before I forget, before we leave, that's very important. You see here, because I noticed when I open the file, you see this is broken. You see here, this is broken. Okay, so why is broken? It's because I have a dot here in the name of the field.
Ooh.
Of the file. Ooh. Okay. So if you do this, and if I remove the dot and I put that like that, right, and I open it. So the dot never put a dot in a name, but unfortunately sometimes it comes automatically when you have duplicates. You know, it said dot something, right? This stupid thingy.
Okay.
So so never ever put a dot in the name of the file.
Okay, cool. Oregon Dean mentioned just a second ago, T12 user's ID. Is he skipping characters when he speed types? Yeah, you can. It's a it works.
Oh, the type over?
Yeah, show that in a calculation somewhere. Because you don't. It's like the way the indexing works in FileMaker. All you have to do is have the wildcard search of the first part of each word, right? So
yeah. So let's say I want user, like that, right? And but you can put a space that you break it, right?
Well, it depends. If you had another one with a space and that word in there, it would still work. Right?
No. See,
you sure?
It's broken here.
Wait, no. If you had a D and a word, it would work, right?
I'm not sure.
You need a type.
Let's say
type US Or yeah, try. Well, yeah, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, but they all with a. Let's
Yeah.
do I have a. Let me see if I have a one with a. They all have okay asset history. Okay, assets history. See, yeah, it's working.
Yeah.
It's working. When you okay, if it must be consistent.
Right. Yeah.
And it goes always. It goes both ways. Here, it took the H here. Pretty much is, but it needs to be. You cannot have. You cannot say set and story. I
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
it worked.
Okay.
Oh, they improved it. They improved it in 19. They improved before it was returning nothing here.
Ah.
Yeah, they improved it because now it's search both ways and all over the place. No, that's cool. See, I'm learning something too. See,
Yeah. So it's basically, I think it's the easy way to learn about the keyboard shortcuts with a calculation is just to play with it and kind of learn. And you learn there's little keyboard shortcuts you can do. There's probably more than you could possibly learn, but
oh yeah, actually that's one that popped to my mind before we go. Is and I'm using it a lot, especially on the scripts here. On the script here is this.
okay, we're seeing your face.
Go to layout.
We
Sorry.
see your face. Your
Okay,
face
yeah.
is here. Your face is there. Okay,
Yeah,
there
okay.
we go.
Okay,
right.
go to layout. Go to read record.
Yeah, I use those all the time.
New window.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is cool because you can pretty much you can use C and R, like for example this one, right? Configure NVC. Okay.
Near
C,
field communication.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So see, you tap the, and sometimes you can say also inside a calculation here, you can use this get, for example. I'm using that a lot. Get script parameter. Oh, see, because you
Yep.
see, so it's kind of so you can use this script parameter. See? It's you don't have to type script. You can type S and something, right? No, it's very cool.
Again, if you have any questions, comments, you want to say thanks to Nick, you want to hire Nick, you want to send Nick a box, a suitcase full of cash, feel free to do that. Just send email to support@RC Consulting. We will connect you with him. Every once in a while, I get people saying, hey, can I have Nick's private cell phone number so I can just call and bother him? I'm like, if you want to have Nick's private cell phone, you need to be one of his paying customers. So yeah, that way we, because he's not tier 1 tech support. If you can get past all my coaches and my mid-level people and then get past me, then we call Nick when we really get stuck. So Nick is like tier 5 tech support. He's like God. It's like, God, this is Richard. How do I do this in FileMaker? And Nick says, yes, my son. It is nasty and an abomination.
You heard the law of physics.
We've heard the law of physics. Yes, that's the other one. All right, cool. All right, everyone, I greatly appreciate it. Send an email to support Andre. Send me an email to support with a screenshot or something. We'll figure out what you need, okay? I appreciate everyone. We'll see you on Monday. Once again, fmtraining.tv, where we're teaching you how to make great FileMaker applications. Why? Because your users, your people, your customers need you to make great FileMaker apps. They need them to be fast. They need them to be awesome. So whether you're a Bunny or you're a Andre, they need you to be awesome. So we'll catch you Monday. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.